You came from a much more traditional media platform, NBC Entertainment. And you said last year, look, the collective broadcast industry's business model has clearly changed. Innovation isn't just needed, it's mandatory. So display ads that we see that really permeate everything on the web now, are those going to be pushed aside with integrated advertising? I mean, it's what you're counting on.
Yeah, I think they're not going to necessarily be pushed aside. They're all going to kind of coexist. Mm-hmm. Some things reinforce brand. Some things showcase new utility of a new product offering or a new service or a service that maybe people don't realize a company had, and how can you highlight that? And that takes more than a display ad. And some things are just about making sure people know that we're here and we're strong. You know, the post-crisis automotive industry needed to kind of just plant a flag. Mm-hmm. We're still in business and your contracts are good and we'll back up the work we do, and the 50,000-mile 5-year guarantee is still a real thing. And the same with the banking industry after the bailout.
Are you working with any banks?
We're not working with any banks right now, but we are working with an insurance company. But we've been talking to them and hearing from them kind of what their appetites and needs are.
Will advertisers pay you more, Ben, to include them in the process from the get-go to infuse your shows with their product? Will they pay you a lot more for that?
Well, what they're doing is they're supporting the ideas a lot more, meaning they have an investment threshold around content that usually is always tied to the value that the media where that content lives. So they still are evaluating the ideas very directed around the scale of the audience, mm-hmm. but they're willing to invest further because it's their thing to drive audience to it. So they become a really good partner when they're inside something from the beginning because they know how to use all their other assets, what they do inside a store, what they have at a dealership, what they're able to bring to it in their own web properties or their own third-party relationships, like a Procter & Gamble's relationship with a Target or a Walmart can benefit something you're working on.
Can it work outside of entertainment? Can it work in news at all, or video on news websites? Because that's the big issue I see with product placement is you can't put it in a news report where you may be talking about that company.
I think it's really hard. I mean, we just watched LeBron James and all of the various constituents, including the own watchdog of ESPN, mm-hmm. Say this is kind of advertorial. This is feels a little dishonest, and disconnected. And to me, news needs to be a protected.
So you don't want to touch news with Electus?
Yeah, I would be interested in promoting point of view news, or having advertisers want to reach an audience that maybe is not served by certain news categories, mm-hmm. like news feels that it's getting older in its traditional format. So I see opportunity there, but not to make it a brand's focus, because also it's just a hard thing to sell anyway, because there's always going to be bad news too.
Always.
And so and maybe you can sponsor the lighthearted segment at the end of a news program, but I do believe it's really a area fraught with ethical risk, and not one that we're going to be focused on.